God's principles delineate the boundary line beyond which we live in danger. Wherever He draws the boundary is the point at which we violate His nature, good turns to evil, and pain sooner than later corrupts pleasure. Out of mercy, God advances every possible warning so we can avoid those danger zones. The trade-off is never between goodness and pleasure, as often portrayed. Sin is popularly correlated with pleasure, and giving up sin means resigning oneself to a fun-free life full of gloom and boredom. But since that's the only way to get to heaven, we'll just have to muddle through somehow. Goodness and pleasure are the real companions. The thrill of evil is fleeting because it is a jarring contradiction in a divinely derived world. Goodness returns pleasure, untainted by blowback for self-destructive behavior, and 1,000 accompanying regrets. The options boil down to heavenly wisdom versus earthly wisdom, according to James 3. That is to say, you will live understanding, humility, and goodness in following truth, or you'll live arrogant, self-seeking, lying against truth. If that sounds harsh, James leans toward the unvarnished. Those are the dual alternatives, and he bluntly describes earthly wisdom as sensual and demonic and the source of confusion and every imaginable evil. Even smaller occasional breaks with truth may indicate a mind operating on earthly wisdom, and at the heart, disguised or not, is rebellion. If James' assessment seems ruthless, the prophet Samuel equated rebellion with witchcraft. Why rebel against a God who cares more about your future and well-being than you do? A God who is willing to disclose those danger zones for your protection is a God to be trusted, not resented. By wholeheartedly seeking His will, you enable Him to exercise His loving kindness and tender mercy on your behalf. Whether in His broad commands or His specific guidance in daily details, God's will is what you would want if you knew what He knows. It's invisible and impenetrable to you, but He traces the chain of events that would follow every option of every decision you face. His foreknowledge, combined with His intimately personal knowledge of you, enables Him to chart a safe path through the course of life that is best and most fulfilling for you and those you love. He offers specific guidance every step of the way if you're listening, even if He doesn't show you more than a step at a time, unsettling as that may seem. If He allows something unpleasant into your life, it's calculated to spare you something worse, to teach you some desperately needed lesson, or to shape you for the better in ways you could not gain otherwise. And He always brings good out of every negative situation. Romans 8:28. Too often, God's will is what we want when we don't like the fallout from our own will. If His will is your afterthought reversion to plan B, you're living one self-created mess to the next. And you'll never know the complete good He wants to do. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct the rest of your life.